My name's Toby Young. I'm the General Secretary of the Free Speech Union, a mass membership public interest body that stands up for the speech rights of its members and campaigns for free speech more widely. In the 4 years since I set up the company, I've come across some pretty appalling examples of private companies punishing their employees and their customers simply for exercising their lawful right to free speech. But the most egregious example I've come across so far involves the company in this building, right behind me in Paddington, the Premier League. If you think the Premier League isn't interested in the political views of football fans, think again. We've discovered there's a secret intelligence agency embedded in the Premier League whose job it is to spy on football fans, to monitor their social media accounts, to find out if they're engaging in wrongthink. And if they are, that agency passes on that information to Premier League clubs, and those fans can find themselves banned from the stadiums. This is the story of the Stadium Stasi. I'm standing outside St James's Park, the famous home of Newcastle United. You would think that Newcastle had more to worry about this season than policing the tweets of its fans, like getting into Europe, staying in the FA Cup, competing at the highest level in the Premier League. But apparently not. Unlikely as it may sound, this has become the battleground in the latest fight to defend our free speech.
I came to meet Lindsay Smith, a 34-year-old woman who's followed Newcastle United all her life. Every week, she looks forward to the game, and when Newcastle are playing at home, she often buys a ticket. But towards the end of last year, something happened to turn her world upside down.
So when did you find out that Newcastle had placed you under investigation?
It was the 1st of November. There was an email from the security complaints saying that I was under investigation for a hate crime, and for that reason they'd had to suspend my membership.
And when did you find out exactly what this hate crime was that you'd supposedly committed?
And eventually they gave in and said, sent me an email saying that I'd posted on social media things that could be seen as transphobic. So that was pretty much all I got, you know.
But what you'd said wasn't what people would normally consider hate speech, let alone a hate crime. You'd said things like you didn't think trans women were women, you didn't think if you were born with a penis that you could self-identify or become a woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much. I said trans women are men, and I said I'll be able to say I never stood by that and never accepted it. And that's another one I was questioned for, so.
Given that you hadn't said anything that would normally be classed as hate speech, presumably you thought that it'll be cleared up and it'll just go away, but what actually happened?
I was banned for the rest of this season and the next two, so.
So just to be clear, because you expressed your gender-critical beliefs on Twitter, Newcastle has banned you for the rest of this season and for 2 more seasons.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that?
Devastated. Just devastated. I mean, I live 10 minutes away. I struggle to even come near the ground now, to be honest with you. I get upset when I talk about it because I just don't understand where it is.
Obviously, the irony here is who owns Newcastle United? You know, these are people who kill journalists for speaking out against the Saudi regime. These are the people who are banning her. Yeah? People who are anti-gay. Couldn't get any more ironic than that, could you?
Come from, you know. I don't understand why someone's gotten so offended by me just speaking my mind. I don't get it, but you know, I avoid the city now. I avoid it, especially if it's a match day. If I'm going home, I'll drive the long way round so I don't have to see people. You know, I won't even come down here and drink anymore. I used to always be in Shearer's over the road, or I'd be in the Strawberry. I can't even bring myself to do that. Every time I come round here now, I'm just sick to my stomach. And I'm afraid of who's around, who's watching me, you know. So it's just horrible.
Why do you think Newcastle United, the Premier League, why do you think they believe they have the right to police what you're saying on your Twitter account? I mean, if you're not saying anything unlawful, if you're not saying anything racist, if you're not saying anything to any other fans, employees of the club, what business is it of theirs?
None. I even said to them on the phone, I said, my political views have nothing to do with you, nothing at all to do with you. And they've just kind of laughed me off and gone ahead and done it anyway. So it doesn't matter what I've said to them, because I've been ignored all the time. Like, everything I've said has just been ignored or batted away, or I've been made out to be like I'm lying, so.
And one of the really shocking aspects of your case is that you got back a cache of documents, including quite a big file that had been compiled on you by some shadowy spy agency connected to the Premier League, which had an extraordinary amount of detail about your life in it. Just tell me about that and how you reacted to that.
That just had me sick to my stomach. And to be fair, I didn't even see that immediately, because when I originally got it back, it was the emails I was interested in. So it wasn't until a few days later I actually looked through the rest of it and I saw that Premier League report. And they basically referred to me as a target. They've tried to find my identity. They've tried to find where I live. They even went as far as to get screenshots off my Twitter. They searched in the search bar, "I live," to find anywhere I've said where I live. Took images of me where I used to walk my dog behind my house. Got Google images of the church there and the park that's there. I mean, it's horrible. Saying I've got ties to Whitley Bay because I work down there. I just don't see what any of that has to do with any of it. And I don't know who's seeing that information, I only live down the road. It's really quite frightening, because I don't know who's seen it now. I don't know who knows where I live or knows where I walk around, Anyone could be waiting there. Anyone, and it is quite frightening. I don't feel safe walking around where I live anymore, because I don't know who's around, who's seen anything. It's horrible.
Yeah.
The most sinister aspect of this story is the dodgy dossier on Lindsay compiled by the Premier League's secret intelligence agency. In effect, the activities of football fans, right down to where they walk their dogs, have been monitored by the stadium Stasi. We think the fact that this shadowy agency passed on this detailed personal information about Lindsay to Newcastle United is a breach of GDPR, and with our help, Lindsay has submitted a complaint to the information regulator. We also think NUFC may have discriminated against Lindsay, a breach of the Equality Act.
The extraordinary thing about this case is that Lindsay has been penalised for expressing an opinion that is not only shared by the vast majority of the British public, probably most Newcastle fans, but also the owners of the club. If you're a football fan and you think you've been similarly punished for expressing your perfectly lawful views on social media, on this subject or any other, please go to our website and use the form to submit a subject access request to your Premier League club or the Premier League itself. Just go to www.freespeechunion.org/SAR.